Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis, 5 lines from the top. Our Gemara is discussing a case where a person is shoyves in a bika that is 5,000 square amos, Beis Sosayim, and he has therefore a techum of 2,000 in all directions. During the Shabbos, Goyim made mechitzos around the entire bika for residential purposes, whereby he still can only travel within his techum of 2,000 amos. But can he go ahead and metaltel beyond? According to Rav Nachman, name of Shmuel, he can go ahead and zorek an object beyond the 2,000 amos. Not only can he go ahead and walk and metaltel within the 2,000 amos after those mechitzos were put up, because mechitzos that were put up on Shabbos are considered to be valid mechitzos, but he can go ahead and zorek, he can throw an object beyond his 2,000 amos. According to Rav Huna, he cannot do so because Rav Huna holds Shema Yimashech. Maybe if a person were to be allowed to then throw an object beyond the 2,000 amos, he might come to then also walk beyond the 2,000 amos also. So not only therefore can he not go ahead and carry beyond the 2,000 amos by being zorek, but he also then cannot even carry within those 2,000 amos, because since the area outside of the 2,000 amos is prohibited and it's opened from his 2,000 amos, there's no mechitzos, it's directly opened, then that also prohibits carrying within his own 2,000 amos. So therefore it can only metaltel daled amos like a regular karmelis. Says the Gemara on Rav Huna, if a person is walking and then he is measuring his 2,000 amos, and he gets to the place in the middle of a city, in the middle of a chotzer, that's where the end of his 2,000 amos is. He only has half of the chotzer. Ask the Gemara Pshita, of course he only has half the chotzer. His 2,000 amos ended in the middle of the chotzer. Says the Gemara, say that he has half of the chotzer. Ask the Gemara, that's also pashit pshita. No. I might think that he's now prohibited from being metaltil even in the entire 2,000 amos, because since he cannot go ahead and be zorek, again, the shita of Rav Huna is Shema Yimashech. I might think, therefore, he can't go ahead and metaltel within the 2,000 amos either. Kamash Malan, here it's different than the Bika. The Bika is an opened area that only during Shabbos was walls made around the Bika. So therefore, on the onset of Shabbos, it was prohibited for everybody. But over here we're talking about a chutzner. And since the chutzner was enclosed, and therefore the chutzner itself was permitted to other people, so we don't have the same rule of kiprutzoi, and that it's kparutz, it's now going to prohibit the area that is normally mutter to carry on. So therefore over here, Rav Huna would agree you can go ahead and metaltil on this up until the end of his techum, the first half of the chutzner. And this is what Tosfos says over here. The language of Tosfos is kivan de legabe achrini choshiv mechitza bechotzer loy choshiv nifrat lemokim ha'oser loy. Unlike the case of the bika, it's not going to be prohibited the area that is going to be his 2,000 amos. So therefore, he can metaltel even within up to the half of the chotzer within his 2,000 amos as well. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said, Moide li Huna. Rav Huna, would you agree with me, even though you normally hold of Shema Yimashech, that if a haya moide ubo v'kolsa midos al svasa tikra, if a person were to then go ahead and count his 2,000 amos, and it would end in the edge of a tikra. You have a situation where you are going into a area, a city, and the 2,000 amos ends in the beginning of a home. The wall is opened up into the home, and you have all 3 sides that are covered by a tikra. So the edge of the tikra is the entrance to the home, and that's where his 2,000 amos ends. So you, Rav Huna, would agree to me that it's muter letaltel bekol habayis. You can go ahead and metaltel even beyond. You can go ahead and zorek a chayfetz beyond your 2,000 amos into the bayis. That you would agree to me, because there's no problem Hashem Yamoshech. My timer, why would you agree? Because hoyo v'tikras habayis choyvetes. Here, the edge of the roof, that will then go down. Like we say, the tikra is yored v'soisem. Aydei chavita over here, it will actually be as if it's closed. So therefore, since he will see, because of this frame, that it will not then take him beyond the 2,000 amos of his tchum, he will not be led to walk beyond 2,000 amos of the tchum, even though he can go in and throw the object. Therefore, over here, even Rav Huna would agree, there's no Shema Yimoshech. Omar Rav Huna b'reid Rav Nosin kitanoi. Rav Huna b'reid Rav Nosin wants to suggest the machlokes that we had between Rav Nachman and Rav Huna, whether we say Shema Yimoshech or not, is a machlokes tanoim. Again, let's renew that machlokes. We said that Rav Nachman is of the understanding when the person who is shoyves in that bika, that now has walls in it on the middle of the Shabbos, he can go ahead and of course only walk within his 2,000 amos, but he can even throw an object beyond his 2,000 amos because we don't say Shema Yimoshech. Rav Huna, on the other hand, says you can only walk 2,000 amos and you can metaltil only dalet amos, like any other bika, any other karmelis. Why? Why can't you go ahead and not metaltil beyond that? Because he holds, since the area beyond 2,000 amos is a problem of Shema Yimoshech, therefore that opened area, which is aser to metaltilin, will also then aser the area within his 2,000 amos to metaltil. And therefore, you can only metaltil dalid amos. Now the Gemara suggests this machlekes is a machlekes of our Mishnah as follows: Holichu li'ir acheres v'nasnu b'dir or b'sahar. If Gentiles took a person against his will outside of his 2,000 amos, outside of his tchum on Shabbos or on Yontif, and they placed him into an area that was closed with mechitzas, either a deer, which is considered to be like a pen, or a sahar, which is like a corral. The difference, the Mefarshim explained, is that a deer, we said, is that it's a place that normally animals are kept outside of the city for a day or two to fertilize the area, and then they go ahead and do that area, make another deer in another area where they can be fertilized. Whereas a corral, a soihar, is within the city itself. Al kopanim, a person was taken against his volition, against his will, into the area outside of his 2,000 amos, into the area that was a enclosed place. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, oimri mahalich es kulo. He can go ahead and metaltil. He can go ahead and mahalich. He can walk within that entire area. Rabbi Yoshuv, Rabbi Akiva, oimrim ein lo ela arba amos. He's limited to just daled amos, even though it's an enclosed area. So my lav, the Gemara wants to suggest now that this machlokes be'etzem, they would agree, both opinions, that you can go ahead and you go ahead and walk within the entire area, and there's no problem to do that. But there's a machlokes whether you can when you can walk beyond daled amos or not, based on a gezerah as follows. My lav, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, da amru mahalich as kula. You can walk throughout the entire enclosed area, the lo gazru hiluch dir v'sar atu hiluch bebika, because they're not making a concern about a gezerah, that if we allow you to go ahead and walk within the entire area of the deer and the sahar that's enclosed, you might come to then walk in the entire area that of a bika. If you were then put in a bika, an open area, you might come to walk there as well, even beyond your daled amos. And since we don't make a gezerah that you may not walk, that you will not walk in an open area because you're allowed to walk in this closed area, then tiltul atu hiluch lo gazri. Then we will also not make a gezerah that you're not allowed to metaltil also by throwing, let's say, an object beyond your tchum, just like the shita of Rav Nachman. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, the oimim ein loy ela arba amos, where they say you can only then, when you're taken by these Gentiles into the corral, the enclosed area, you can only walk within daled amos. Why do they say that? Because Mi'ikar Adin, they would say, we're suggesting that you could go ahead and walk the entire area. Why are they limiting it to only Daled Amos? After all, it's enclosed. Because the Gazre Hiluch Dir Vesar Atu Hiluch the Bika. Because they were concerned about this Gezerah. If we will allow you to then walk freely within this enclosed area, even beyond Daled Amos, then we'll then say there's a concern when a person is put in a Bika, he may walk beyond his Daled Amos. And since we make such a gezer when it comes to walking, then tiltul atu hiluch nami gazri. Then we'll also make the gezerah and say that we are concerned that shema yimashich, if we're allowed to then throw an object beyond your tichum, you might come to then walk beyond the tichum also. And therefore, the opinion of Rav Huna. So now we have established that the machlokes in Rav Nachman and Rav Huna is the machlokes between our Tanoim in our Mishnah. Ask the Gemara, Mimai, from where do you see that this is the basis of the machlokes? Dilma ki loid gozer Rabban Gamliel of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, hiluch sar v'dir otu hiluch bika. The reason why they don't make a gezer and they allow you to walk within the entire area of the sar and the dir is because hani mili dahasim d'shnei mekomosin. That's because it's enclosed. So therefore, you're allowed to go ahead and walk within the whole area. They won't confuse it with a place like a bika, which is opened. Aval tiltul otu hiluch the makom echad. When you have a place which is a makom echad, then when you throw an object beyond your 2,000 amos in that open, let's say bika, then even they would say there's a concern, Shemi Yamashech, like Rav Huna. Hachanami the gazer gzer Shemi Yamashech acher chetzoi. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva nami mimai the mishum gazrehu. From where do you see that they were saying their din because of a gezerah? Dilma mishum de kosavre. Maybe the reason why they said you're limited to just dalet amos in the dir or the sahar is because ki amrin kol habayis kulo ka'arba amos dami. It's all considered to be ka'arba amos. And therefore, Hanimili, when is that true? When you already in the beginning of the onset of Shabbos, we're already in an enclosed area. Then we say the entire area is like Daled Amos, and you can carry where you can walk within the whole area, even beyond Daled Amos, because it's enclosed from the onset of Shabbos. But if you were not there on the onset of Shabbos, like the case over here, they were put into this corral or this pen in the middle of Shabbos, then we don't say they have the area to walk in. They can only then walk within Daled Amos. So therefore you cannot be toile the machlokes of Rav Nachman and Rav Huna on this machlokes Tanoim.